Media.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Mari Mukonda Show on Salam Media. It is Tuesday, the 8th of December, 2020, and welcome to the show. If you've just joined us, peace be upon you. Hope you will enjoy your stay and the information that will be shared here today. So, in this busy and fast paced world that we're living in, you either have to beat them or join them. But when it comes to screen time, however, you can't do either one of the two. While unlimited time with electronics may keep your child busy, you don't want them to have too much screen time. Joining me is Charmaine Brooks, who is a parenting expert and a coach with Munchkins, to give us some tips on how to limit children's screen time. Good morning, Charmaine.
Morning, Mariam. How are you?
Good, thanks, and yourself?
Very well. Very well.
Thank you for joining us once again. Now, first of
Yes.
all, what does screen time do to a child's ability to function and complete tasks?
You know what we have found that because of too much screen time these days, our children's brain becomes very more wired visually because they're really just using that side of their brain visually. And then when they sit in a class setup and they have to use so much more auditory, kinesthetic, it just doesn't work together. So it's so important that they do more than just screen time because it just wires your brain differently. And then you struggle going forward with reading, with communicating, with studying, any social skills. And it's found study after study that too much screen time, they just lose the ability to focus on what's important. They lose emotional and social skills because screen time is a one-way thing. You don't need to communicate. Don't need to be social. You lose that skill. And they become very vulnerable to online addictions, and even later in life to gambling and porn. So it's really important that we limit screen time and that it's not just an open-ended thing.
Mm-hmm. And
Yes.
how do you know if your child has had too much screen time?
I do believe we see it in their attitude, in their mood swings, those type of things. You can see, especially a lot of temper flare-ups, a lot of mood swings, a little bit of lose of respect for parents, just the way they start to communicate, they withdraw. They start spending a lot more time in their rooms. Yes, as teenagers, they do move away. They do want to be with their friends and be, but I'm saying overall, you can definitely see that they're going into their own, they're starting to withdraw. And there's just a complete change in behavior, all depending on what they play and what they spend their screen time on. So, yeah. So it's so important that you know what they are spending their screen time on. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
That they're not, especially little ones. I believe, the internet has no shallow end. There's no starting off on the little step, and then as we get older, we're moving to the deep side of the internet. It's deep end. So when your littly is on YouTube, they do not sit all alone there on the couch or somewhere in their room. You make sure that your toddler or your preschooler is sitting next to you while they're on YouTube so you can monitor, you can see what they're watching. Because even with all the best apps and things we can use and parental settings we can set, it still sneaks in. You will be amazed what comes up and pops up, and being inquisitive and just pushing a button, and before you know it, you don't know on what sites they end up. So for the littlies, very important that you're aware of what they're watching. Great if you can maybe download something beforehand and then they watch it. It's not something where they go on the internet and they're watching live streaming or, whatever games they play, adverts come up. That's not always age appropriate. We have to be so vigilant. I believe as parents, we are the gatekeepers. We decide what comes in and what not. And we have to be so vigilant because it's their innocence. It can be destroyed in one go, and then it is more and more. It's so addictive, It's definitely that digital cocaine. It just releases the same things that drugs do. So we have to be so careful that we do not, that that there is a limit, because the more our kids get, the more they want. But when you break that cycle, make a definite time that there's breaks. If they're gaming or watching, there need to be breaks. And that you have a set time for a day. I think that is so good that beforehand you discuss it. How much time is good for our family? This is screen time, and that could be gaming, cell phone, TV, any screens. This is our time for the day, so spend it wisely. And I think it's very good if you do, especially now with the holidays coming up, a bit of an incentive chart, even between siblings. Our sibling rivalry flares up in holidays. Do a bit of an incentive chart where kindness to your sibling, the little peg moves up on your chart. Oh, that was unkind, or that's fighting, or whatever rude attitude, it can move down. And so you can earn extra time on screen. And that works so well, especially for the older ones, because if you use the right currency and they can cash that in for time, or you're losing time, it just does help. Extra chores, add time. Reading, I think it's so great. Get them to read. For every half an hour that you read, you can get 15 minutes extra screen time. It works. It gives you something to just stop the fighting, get some helping with things. And often when you introduce other things, like I do believe they also still have to have toys. If
Yeah.
your child, if you've given away all the cars and the dolls and the plastic animals, they have nothing left to do but technology. You need to make sure that there's still things for them to play. Make sure there's things in the garden to do. Even if you have to get involved and just push a little bit and give advice and give options, that there's more to do than just screen time. Before you know it, they're out there enjoying it, and they almost forget about asking for screen time. I have 5 rules for screen time, which really works in my house. The first one is that screen time is a privilege. It's not something, your TV cannot be on all day. If it's on all day, it's not a privilege anymore. They need to come and ask, Mom, can I watch some TV? Sorry, love, not now. Oh, yes, you can watch a half an hour program and then it's done for this morning or whatever. You have your rules, but it's a privilege. But if it's a free for all, they can just play all day, watch all day. All of a sudden, there's no more incentive to watch. So you must make sure that they realize it's a privilege. It's something they ask, and it's not always going to be yes. And then screen time is a choice. There we get to that it's not your go-to. There could be other stuff that you could also do. And it's something that maybe once you've done your chores, you've helped, you did what mom asked, you packed your washing away, whatever, then you can do your screen time. And it does not mix with company. You cannot, when family's visiting, sit with your iPad in front of your face in the company. That's just not cool. It's not on. And they've got to learn to do that, because before we know it, we have a whole lounge full of people and everyone's on a device. So we need to still communicate. And if we don't teach our children that, they're gonna lose that ability. So it's so important. Does not mix with company. But screen time is not private. It's not something that you only do in your bedroom behind a door. It must be somewhere where any of us can walk in. It's in the lounge. Your laptop is in a public space where we can see. It's so important that it's not something that's always private. I can take my son's phone at any time and check with him. I don't do it on the sly and at night when he's sleeping. I'll say, boy, bring your phone. Let's just work through your WhatsApps a bit, or let's see what videos have you been looking at. It's not a private thing. Obviously, as they grow older, you're not going to check your 18-year-old's phone. But as they go older, you will give more rope. But you've got to teach them. We've got to teach them those things. And then for me, very
And
important,
Charmaine,
screen time. Sorry.
hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll
Yes.
continue when we return.
You must tell me if I talk too much. Sorry. I'm passionate about this because I have these children, and I'm through lockdown. Screen time has been such a thing. So you must tell me if I'm.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Mara Mukonda Show on Salam Media. And on today's parenting segment, we are talking screen time and limiting screen time with the parenting coach, Charmaine Brooks. If you have any comments, questions for Charmaine, you can send them to us on WhatsApp. The number is 061 766 0355. Alternatively, you can leave them in the comment section below. Charmaine, thank you for staying on the line. And you were sharing your tips with us. Sorry, I had to cut you off there, but please continue.
Mhm. Yeah, I would say my fifth rule would be screen time has no place at the table. I
Mm,
feel when we're having a meal together, it's a time of it's an occasion. It's where your family talks, it's where you communicate, it's where you have fun. And if there's screens involved, then it's just so pointless. And you want to spend the time around the table having fun, bonding, chatting. So make sure that there's a definite rule, starting out with mom and dad, because then the children know that's our rule. No
mm,
screen time. Yes, some Friday nights we have takeouts and we sit in front of the TV. That's something different. But when we're around the table, no screen time. Yes, very important, I think. And I think the importance is to start out right, to make
yeah.
sure that you and your children understand when you get a cell phone. Let's start with a cell phone contract. What works for our family?
Mm,
What would the do's and the don'ts be? What works for our family? What would the time limits be? What would be, who would I communicate with, who not? A budget that you can't just phone and do whatever. When you game, you can't just mom's credit card going for gaming. So make sure that you communicate and understand it well. And what are your friends doing online at the moment? What do you think's right? What's wrong? What can we, what can't? And that your children always understand that anything of social media, I always explain it like this: you do not post anything or say anything or even like anything that you would not put right next to the N1 on a billboard with your face
mm,
next to it. Make sure, because once it's out there, it's for the world to see. You have to be so
mm,
careful. We have to teach them and guide them with any screen time, how to do it, what to do, what's right, what's wrong, because that little logic part has not developed yet. And that's why young children should not be on social media. They don't understand that, they can't navigate it. Cyberbullying is so real. It's tough, and we have to equip them. We can't do this for them, but we have to equip them and guide them along the
mm,
way. And to limit screen time, I think a wonderful idea for the holiday would be for you to make your own little coupon booklets where you say, guys, beginning of holiday, here we go. And in that, you decide one day we're going to bake biscuits, one outing to the movies, a hike maybe, or if you're near the beach, whatever works in your family, things that you know your kids would love. A whole day of just building Lego, a whole day of us just going somewhere that you enjoy, and you make sure they have a booklet and they can choose when they want to do what. But if you do your whole little booklet in 4 days, then you must know the rest of the holiday you're going to have to entertain yourself. So make sure you learn to budget, that you can
mm,
stagger and plan, building little cookies, gingerbread houses, whatever, works for your family. But that you have things at your fingertips that they can do other than screen time. That screen time it's nice for all of us. It does help. You cannot keep your kids completely away from it, but you can regulate it. But have those other things on hand that works for your family and that your kids would love to do, that they can go, Mom, today I think can we bake biscuits today? And you cash it in and then spend that time with them and do things, whether it's this, the kids together, or with other family member, with granny, or anything like that. Something that play dates, putting on the sprinkler and putting bubbles on the trampoline and whatever works for your family. But find those ideas and,
mm,
put heads together with your friends and try and find things that we can do to keep our kids busy and entertained in our little coupon book that they can also use. And they get so excited about it. They love the idea. And for, oh, what an awesome holiday. Look at all these amazing things we can do,
mm-hmm.
especially
And
in
I think
summer holiday.
Yeah, and I think one of the mistakes that we make as parents is that we use the screen time to keep them busy while we go on about our duties. And you
Yeah,
mentioned that we need to monitor them, we need to sit next to them and make sure that we know what they are watching and what apps they are going on to,
yeah,
what they're clicking on and whatnot. And I noticed that with
yeah.
this with my 2-year old when she usually gets a tablet to play with, but thank God I downloaded the games because I don't want to have situations where I have a large bill that I have to pay. So I downloaded the games and I switched off the Wi-Fi and the data, but she still logs onto YouTube, although nothing pops out, but she still goes there, and
Yes,
she still opens all other apps and everything that she can manage to open on the phone and on the tablet. So if you're not monitoring them, they are gonna go and they're gonna find something that they should not be seeing or should not be listening to,
yes.
and sometimes you'll find yourself in an embarrassing situation where they show up in front of people and they're like, "Oh, see," and you're like, "Oh, okay." What
Nice.
now? What am I gonna do now? Yeah. So when it comes
Definitely.
to little kids like 2-year olds, how do we manage their screen time? Um, and to avoid having these tantrums, sometimes you need to keep them busy while you go about your duties and doing other things like taking care of the household or maybe even smaller kids.
Yes. No, that's why I definitely think it's good that they have screen time, but they understand. I think if you forewarn them and say, "My love, you can watch now, but mom's gonna come switch off when I say it's time." That's what's so important, that you get them to listen to
Mhm.
you. If they listen to you, they understand that mom says when it's time to switch off, then we're gonna switch off, and you can always warn them and say, "Almost time. Right, oh, let's switch off. Okay, come, let's go find something else to do." And then, but if they learn to listen to you, they understand that when it's time to switch off, it's because they obviously going to have like a major little bit of a tantrum, especially in the beginning. And then they see, okay, no, mom means business. No is no, and it's finished now, and we're going on to something else. But, and then a lot of praise when they do listen and they do say, okay, and you go, good listening, well done. That there's an incentive. I see, oh, okay. And then distraction, and make sure, especially for those little, especially for a 2-year-old, no, and distraction. And look, yeah, I've packed out this blocks for us. Come, let's see what you can build. While mom's busy in the kitchen, here's a bowl for you. You're gonna mix here on the floor, and you chuck some noodles in there, and off they go. Just, you've got to be a little bit creative as a parent, to also just a little bit of distraction when they're that small, but that they know there's a beginning and then there's an end. It's not an open ended. We can just watch all day. Because also, if they watch the whole of Friday afternoon and Friday night, they fell asleep in front of the TV. Come Saturday morning, when you just want to lie in a little bit, there's no incentive to put the TV on for them, that you can have a half an hour where but if they didn't watch at all on Friday, you made sure they were busy with other things. On Saturday morning, they're so hungry for that TV because, oh, yeah. So it's a great incentive to use as well. And you can also use it as a reward. Good listening today, you can watch a little bit more. So we have to be so wise, and we have to be creative on how we use screen time, that we can also use it for our own benefit, but to
Mhm.
be very clear boundaries on screen time. How long are we allowed? And that's enough for the day. That's what we do. Sorry, love. I know you're disappointed, but we finished.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And overall, should the screen time be across the board, computers, cell phones, TVs? Like if you decide 2 hours on all the devices, that's what it's going to
Yeah,
be. All
definitely.
right.
Yes. And I think it's good too that families know. I love this app. It's called Google Family Link. It's for
Mm-hmm.
free. You install it on your children's devices and on your own phone. And from there, you can decide when's bedtime, when's wake up time. They cannot
Mm-hmm.
use the phone in between. So it's so good, especially when they get older and you can't take the phone and it sleeps in your room. It literally switches off, and then you can set the time limits per day on the phone. every day could be different. You choose. Monday to Friday is a school day. You get this much time. Weekends could
Mm-hmm.
be longer. And the great thing is you can see exactly how much time they spent and on what they spent it. And it was an eye opener for my son because they do not realize how much time they spend on a device. Hey, but
Mm-hmm.
mom, I was on for half an hour. No, my love, you were on for 2 hours. Look, yeah, on this, and this app. What? They don't realize, it just you get so sucked in. It's designed like that the more you see, the more they know exactly what is it that you enjoy watching, what's it that you enjoy playing. So let's trigger this, let's trigger that, let's just keep you watching, let's keep you going. So that's a wonderful app. I love it that you can see, and you can just help your child. They need to have those boundaries, and even on phones, and um you get so many apps that you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Bark is a wonderful one where you can monitor social media, text, emails. You can help your children. And then for families, a wonderful app that I use is commonsensemedia.org.
Mm-hmm.
You can search any game, any movie, any app on there, and the children rate it and parents rate it. And they'll tell you very truthfully, this movie is way too violent. It's got no lesson in there, or this is quite funny. I thought it was great for kids, they should watch it, they shouldn't. I enjoy reading that because it's so often you're halfway through a movie and you're going, oh my goodness, really?
Mm-hmm.
Should we be watching this? Where now I can go research it before the time and I can go, no, maybe not. Let's just wait. That 16 is there for a reason. Because
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne Johnson isn't it, and he's so cool, doesn't mean there's too much swearing, whatever. So it's great to just go and read up, research these things, research the games and the apps, so you know exactly what it is. Because your kids will always go, oh, mom, that age restriction is so lame. Really, we don't need it. But I am 11. It's just 2 years away. Or I am 5. I'm almost 7. Those PGs are there for a reason, and go
Mm-hmm.
search and do your homework so you know what are they watching, what are they playing, how good is
Mm-hmm.
it for them. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Very informative and useful sites that you've just shared with us. The previous one, was it a Family Link?
Yes, it's Google Family Link.
Google. All right.
It's
So
a wonderful app. Really, really great.
all right. So thank you so much for your time, Charmaine, and for sharing that advice with us.
Yes,
So hopefully our parents can take use
yes,
of it and implement it in their lives. I know I will, because I mean, too much screen time
yes.
is not a good thing. It's not good for anyone. So why should we allow that for our children?
No. All
Thank
the
you so
best for the parents out there for this long holiday.
much. Yeah. Have a wonderful
Thanks
day,
so much for
Charmaine.
having me. Bye.
Pleasure. Bye bye. That was Charmaine Brooks, a parenting coach with the Munchkins. And you can find some more information on munchkins.me. That's www.munchkins.me. And a whole lot more tips and advice about parenting. Whatever you are struggling with, you'll be able to find them there. And parenting coaches are available as well. Just look for your area or type in your area, and a parenting coach will pop up, and you can give them a call if you need the help in wherever you are. So the sites again, it's a Google Family Link that will help to monitor your screen time or your children's screen time. Commonsensemedia.org, that you can use when you're looking for TV programs and movies to watch as a family, especially during the holidays. I know we probably didn't have that information during the lockdown, but we do now. So let us make use of the information that we have. For any further comments, questions, please leave them in the comment section or send them to us on our WhatsApp line. It's 061 766 0355. We will be right back.